Hello and welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing great. We are in the workbook Vision, Goals, and Self-Evaluation, and we are now on Chapter 5, which is Lifestyle and Financial Goals. I really love this section. Everything that we do is designed around getting clarity about who you are, how you show up in the world. But this is really kind of how it shows up in our everyday life and what are some practical things that you can do to make sure that you are living the life that you want. And so we describe this as lifestyle and financial goals. So let's talk about these items. First of all, there are many ways that people describe success in the world today. Some may see success as having earned or accumulated a certain amount of money. Others may see it as being debt free. Others may see it as living in a certain neighborhood or attending specific schools. And still others may see it as living comfortably below their means. For some, success is about travel and freedom. And for others, it is about contributing daily to a cause or career that they are passionate about. Success could be the choice or decision to be a stay-at-home mom. It could be the relentless fight against a terminal illness. And it could also be a quiet walk in the forest, enjoying the peace and tranquility of nature. However you describe success, it is important to plan and choose your desired lifestyle and set financial goals to live abundantly within that lifestyle. Okay, so with that context, again, success, we think of it differently. Whatever it is to you, right? Think about what that means to you, and then we're going to capture these questions. So first of all, how do you define success? So in your life, in your world right now, present moment, how do you define success? Write that down. And let's continue through these questions. Next one is write about your current financial status. What goals and milestones have you already achieved? And what immediate goals you are working towards? So think about this and think, okay, maybe you are watching this and you are in college and you're thinking about your life and what's ahead of you and your family and your future. Maybe you're saying, my current financial status is I have a bank account, I have a savings account, it's empty. I have school loans, school debt, but man, I'm going to make it someday. Great. That's where you are. Write that down. Maybe you're saying, hey, I just literally crossed $1 million in assets, and I now and start moving into that financial independence zone for me. Maybe you came from a family that's worth, $1 billion, and money has never been an issue for you. But you still want to have your own milestones in your own life about what you have accomplished. Maybe that is for you that you just paid off your car. Maybe you just paid off your house. I'm a big believer in being debt free. So those things would be very important. So write about your current financial status, what goals and milestones you have already achieved, and what immediate goals you're working towards. The second one is, now we want to dig a little bit more into the philosophy. What mental and emotional constructs are present for you that may encourage or hinder your financial progress and success? This is a big one, okay? The purpose of this question is to get you to stop, reflect, and understand what may be here. And if there is something here, more than likely you need to go see a coach or a therapist or counselor or somebody who can help you work through these things. These are limiting beliefs. This might be something from your childhood. You've probably heard the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This, philosophical idea about how we grew up and our relationship with money, how we view money, how we view financial independence, all those kinds of things are going to show up here. So what mental and emotional constructs do you have? And recognize there's a lot of don't know what we don't know. So you may not even recognize that you have these limiting beliefs. You may not realize that you have these constructs, but you really do. And so this is going to be an important thing for you to consider what that is. And so maybe you've been pushing up against a wall over and over and over in your life, and you're like, what is it? I just can't seem to break through. And you find out there's some kind of a mental or emotional construct. So really spend some time and effort with that. If you don't know enough about what that means, take that question, go to your therapist and say, what does this mean? And do you think I have any of these? Okay. There are great people out there that can help you do that. Next question. What things can you do immediately? What things can you do to immediately eliminate any negative energy or limitations you have around success and money? Some people grew up with the idea that money was bad. Somehow that money, if you have too much of it, that it's evil or wrong. Some people grew up thinking, that money makes you better than other people. Some people learned that money is power, and somehow that if you have it, you're more powerful and you can control other people. Those are things that we want to stop and realize. And so if you grew up thinking that money was bad or money somehow was evil or people with money destroy the world, then you're not gonna have a very good relationship with that. Okay. On the other hand, if you're the kind of person that believes that money is a tool and money is a blessing and abundance is something, there's enough for everybody to go around, then it's a great way for us to participate in this world that we live in, the free enterprise system, where money is so important in the world that we live in. Now, however that shows up for you, whether it's, I don't describe as money is important to me. It's more about freedom, tools, opportunities, people, those types of things. But however that shows up for you, we just want to acknowledge our positive energies about that and any negative energy or limiting beliefs we have about that. Okay. The next section is the home. Okay. Home is where the heart is. It's your safe place, a place of refuge and relaxation, a place of stimulation and revitalization. It may be on wheels. It may have many bedrooms. It may be tucked away in the forest surrounded by trees. Whatever and wherever your home is, make it a place of inspiration and rejuvenation. So describe the perfect home that you and your family want to live in. So write this down. I've lived in a lot of different places because I like trying new things. I get bored with the same things over and over again. I've tried a lot of things. I've lived in the mountains. I've lived by the beach. I've lived in a high rise. I've lived in big houses, really, really small houses. And again, there's something about all of that that can be gained from our identity, from our joy. So describe the perfect home that you want to live in. It may not be forever. It might be now. If you've got young kids in your house and they want to bring their friends over and you want to be the place with the pool in the backyard and a ping pong table in the garage and everybody comes to your house to play as a safe place, wonderful. Do that. Create that. If your home is, you want to have a tiny house and you want to live in 400 square feet, wonderful. If that's what drives you, describe that. If you want to live in a big mansion with 100 bedrooms, wonderful. Whatever it is you want to do, write that down. Describe your perfect home that you'll want to live in. Next thing is, what are the most important aspects of the home? Is it really about, is it a place of entertaining? Is it a place of hosting parties? Is it a place for your kids growing up through junior high and high school to have a safe place to come at home and not be out and about? Is it a place that's surrounded by 100 or 1,000 acres of land, and you want to be able to feel like you're out on your own and you're more of kind of an outdoors kind of person? Does it need to be by the mountains? Does it need to be by the ocean? Do you want to be close to an airport? Do you want to be close to family? Any of these aspects might be something that you want to consider. Find a visual representation or picture of this home. Keep it on your phone or place the printed photo where you can see it often. Visualization is so important. So find this dream home, whatever it looks like for you, a cabin in the woods or a multi-million-dollar house on the beach, whatever floats your boat. Put that in, or a boat. You could have a yacht if that's important to you. Put that out there and have it. So you have a representation of what that means for you. And then the next question is, what will it take to live in this home? What's it going to take? What do you need to do to prepare yourself for that? What will be the greatest benefit from living in this home? And so again, it's all about the energy. So my opinion is it's less about the home. It's more about the passion, the energy, the experiences, the love, the joy, the moments, the things that you create in that home. But again, everybody's got their own reasons and values for that. Now let's talk about money. Okay. Money is a weird topic. And a lot of us, there's a 1,000 different ways that people see money in our world today. So let's try to get some clarity and let's hone in on that. And so you can have some understanding of what that means for you. So first of all, the first question is, what's important about money to you? Love this question. What's important about money to you? For most people, for some people, it is having a lot of money. There are some people that have a lot of money in the bank. They never spend it. They save it. They've got it. It gives them some sense of security, but they never spend it. They never do anything with it. And that's true for some people. For other people, money is simply a tool. It's a resource. It's an opportunity to travel more or to donate more or to help the people around them more. Whatever it is, what's important about money to you. Okay. Is it freedom? Is it security? Is it stability? Is it the ability to be abundant? Is the ability to be generous? Whatever it is, those things, write them down. How much money do you need to live the life you want to live? This is a really interesting question. Okay. How much is enough? And how will you know when you have enough? So as a coach, and especially in the business world, the world we live in, I jokingly say the answer to every question is more. How much do you want to make? More. How big of a house do you want to live in? More. How many cars do you want to have? More. Everything is more. And I'm not really so sure that's the right answer. I really believe that less is more many times in these kind of scenarios. But again, it's for you to figure out, what do you need to live the life you want to live? How much is enough? And how are you going to know when you have enough, right? Because the joy is not in the having. The joy is in the abundance, okay? I call it the gap. And so in other words, if you make $10,000 a month and you spend $10,000 a month, you have no joy in your life because you spend every dime you make and you're stressed out about money. If you make $50,000 a month and you spend $50,000 a month, you have no joy, no gap, because you literally are spending every dime you make. Now, you might be having a lot of fun with the money you're spending, but there is still that stress of that. What we found is the gap is where joy comes from. If you make $10,000 a month and you spend $7,000 a month and you've got a $3,000 gap, that's abundance. Okay. And that's where joy comes from. The idea that you have more than enough. Okay. And whether it's 10,000, 50,000, a million, a billion, or a dollar, right? If you're spending as much or more than you make, it's always going to be stressful. It's always going to be stressful. And if you spend and live on less than you make, you're going to create freedom, joy, abundance, opportunity, and you're going to see the world differently. Okay. So how much is enough? When do you know when it's enough? And how do you celebrate the milestones that you've had along the way? So what is your biggest frustration about money? This is going to start tying back to what is the energy that we've built around the concept of money? So probably what will come up for you around this question is things about how you grew up, or not having enough, or having too much, or an expectation about it, or just the complication of it. The more money you have, the more complicated it is. If you own 5 houses, maybe that's more complicated, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not. And so again, I've had rental properties, and sometimes I thought it was great, and sometimes I thought I was going to pull all my hair out, right? And so those might be things that that are frustrating for you about money. And then give examples of people with money that you admire. And this is what I love. Think about people you're like, wow, that person is really well off, or that family, and look how generous they are. Look how happy they are. You would never guess that they are quote unquote wealthy people. They never act like they're better than anybody else. They don't use that to power and control over other people. They don't use it as leverage to get their way, right? Maybe those are some things that you would see and you're like, that's the kind of person I want to be. Then what happens is we start to get our energy aligned with money. And so we don't have these negative things around it, and then not have enough of the positive. And then down at the bottom of that example, describe their relationship with money. So think about someone that you admire, and what is their relationship? They're probably not arrogant. They're probably not egotistical. They're probably not greedy. They're probably not people that flaunt it, right? None of those things are things we admire. So their relationship with money is about abundance. It's about having their own identity outside of their things, okay? And so these are all things that we want to understand for ourselves. How do they use money to serve themselves and others in a healthy and productive way? There's nothing wrong with money. It's a tool, right? And so there's great ways to serve ourselves. Maybe you make a lot of money and maybe use that to go get massages and manicure, pedicures. Maybe you take a vacation 2 or 3 times a year and take your whole family on those vacations. Wonderful. That's great. I hope you can do all of those things if that's what your desires in life are, right? So how do you use that money, or how do they use that money in a healthy and productive way? These are, again, we're learning from the people around us. And then the question is then, what things can you learn from them? So what kind of things do you see people doing in happy, healthy ways, productive ways that you want to implement and add into your financial well-being? Okay. Now let's go into the next one. There's going to be some, let's go through some examples here about a foundations for a successful plan. Now, I actually worked as a financial advisor for many years. I've worked with lots of families about money, finances, investing, college, debt reduction, taxes, all these kind of things. I'm certainly not an expert, but I know enough about all of that to understand some basics of what it takes to be successful. And what I've learned is here's some basic things that will help anybody start to get ahead financially. Number one is have an emergency fund and use it for what it's intended, okay? So check this box if you do. If you have an emergency fund and you use it for what's intended. I am a big believer that people with an emergency fund live stress-free lives. And people without an emergency fund live very stressful lives, okay? Now, that's an over-exaggeration. I get it, but you get the point, is that if you've got money in the bank, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, a million, a billion, whatever, if you've got money in the bank, you're probably not that concerned if you get a flat tire or your washing machine breaks down or, you know, you get all of a sudden you have to pay $1,000 deductible because you had a car accident. That's probably not going to matter to you. But if you have no money in your savings, your credit cards are maxed out, and you don't have an emergency fund, those kind of things can literally feel like the end of the world for people, okay? And so an emergency fund is important. And so wherever you are, maybe your emergency fund is $100, and then you get it to 300, and then you get it to 500, and then 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. I would love to see families in this, in the world have emergency funds that they can fall back on and know that they've got a backup plan at all given points. Number two, I am saving 10% of everything that I make. Are you? Are you not? Maybe you're saving more, maybe you're saving less. But most advisors would encourage you to at least save 10% or save and invest 10% of what you make. Number three, I have a definite plan to be debt-free. If you're debt-free, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not debt-free, debt is overwhelming. It can be incredibly overwhelming. Now, I definitely believe there's good debt and bad debt. I describe good debt as anything that goes up in value and bad debt as anything that goes down in value. But a plan to be debt-free. So there's kind of an interesting dynamic, as I've taught this through the years, is I call it a double whammy. Okay. So when you have a debt, let's say you have a credit card and maybe you owe, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on it, and your minimum monthly payment is $200 or $300. What happens is this: you've got this debt, probably a high interest rate. You're making this monthly payment. By being debt-free, two things happen. Let's just say you're spending $300 a month on this credit card payment. Okay. When you pay that off, number one, you eliminate the $300 a month payment out of your budget. Number two, you have that $300 in your budget to go back towards something else. I call that a double whammy. Okay. And so there's a leverage to that, a dynamic to that can really help you get ahead financially. So the goal is that you might have debt on your house because that's an appreciating asset, on investments or land or other things, businesses, things like that. But things that go down in value, cars and all these other things that we spend money on that are going down in value, those are bad debt, and those are not helping you get to your goals of financial independence. Number four is I have a definite plan to be financially independent. And if you don't, there are financial advisors all across the country and the world who are masterful at this. There's so much technology now where they can take information, run it through a report, and give you a financial plan to show you exactly where you are, where you need to be, how much money you need to invest, how much, when you're going to be debt-free. If you're not working with a financial advisor, go get one, right? They can help guide you through that process and help you know where you stand. So the concept is financial independence. So I've heard in my life, most people say, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want to be whatever. But really, from my perspective, healthiness is in being financially independent. Okay. Maybe you're wealthy. It's okay. It's fine if you are. But really, the goal is financial independence, the ability to make decisions and choices in your life that are not dependent on just money. Okay. So describe in detail your plan for becoming financially independent. Now, if you're working with a financial advisor, you may have a very clear-cut plan of what this is. If you don't, write down what you know and work with someone as quickly as you can to find out what that is. Now, if you're just in the early stages and you're like, I don't even have enough money to start with, great. Go see someone else that you know. Find someone who is on the plan and say, what are you doing to get ahead? How did you get out of debt? How did you start your first IRA account? How did you set up your retirement? What is a 401k? How does it work? How should I get involved in that? Ask the questions. People around you will help you. And then when you're ready, go see a financial advisor and they'll guide you through the process. Now, financial freedom. Financial freedom is this idea, like we talked about before, of the gap, that you've got more money coming in than you need, therefore you have abundance, and we live abundantly. So take a moment and write down some numbers here. So again, this is probably going to take you some time. If you've done a lot of work financially, maybe you'll know these numbers, but if not, really do your due diligence and search this, look at your budget, and really figure out these numbers. The accuracy of this is really important to give you the confidence and the peace of mind for this whole piece of financial independence. So financial freedom, my goal is to have a residual income of X per month coming in for the rest of my life. So if you want to have 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 100,000 a month, whatever that number is, write down that goal. Okay. Now I'm coming to you from the US. And so in this time frame, most people probably need $5,000 to $10,000 a month to be able to live in the type of an economy that we're living in today. Now, that may be way different when you watch this video or in another part of the country or wherever you might see this. But what is your goal and what is your recurring or residual income that you want to have coming in? And then you want that by what date? So if you are 25 years old and you're like, I want to retire early at 50, I've got 25 years and I want to have 5,000 a month coming in for the rest of my life, great. Write down that goal. And then I want you to write down, I will have this residual income coming in from the following investments. Some examples could include retirement income, rental income, royalties. So maybe you're going to work for 25 years, retire, and that's going to pay you the $5,000 a month that you want to come in. Maybe it's rental properties. Maybe you've got 5 rental properties that are paying you $1,000 each, and that's $5,000 a month. Maybe you've got royalties. Maybe you wrote a book, or maybe you created a product, or you've got some intellectual property patent that you've created, and these are providing royalties for you. The idea that you have passive income coming in from your investments that don't require you to have to work every day for the rest of your life. Next question, identify the people, the information, and the resources you need to reach your goal. Okay. If you don't know these things, ask somebody. There are people out there that know. And if you don't know, look it up, right? Identify the people, the information, resources, watch videos, find out other people who are financially independent and successful, people that are running businesses, people that are building royalty income and rental income, retirement income. Find people that retired early and ask them, how did you do it? What was your plan? What was your strategy? Who did you work with? What books did you read? All of these things are available to you. The next question that we're going to focus on, and this is a really fun exercise that I find to be so practical and so helpful. Okay. Financial planning can kind of be a little bit overwhelming and a little bit complicated at times. So I'm going to make this very, very simple. I don't mean to oversimplify this, but I want this to also be something everybody can understand and appreciate. So number one, where is all the money going? Anybody ever asked that question before? Probably every April 15th, you probably look up and say, we made what? Where did all of that money go? Kind of how we feel. So thinking about your income every month, identify where it is going and how much is being used to create assets and future residual income. So we're going to look at this in these different categories. Number one is building assets. So I am using blank percent. So what percentage of your monthly income is used to create assets? And assets might include a house payment that builds equity, a retirement account, a savings, an investment, buying land or real estate. So if you make $5,000 a month and you look at your house payment, maybe it's $2,000 a month, but $1,000 of that is going to equity, then that $1,000 is actually building asset to your portfolio. Okay. If you got money going into a retirement account, $500 a month. If you've got money going into a savings account, $100 a month. If you've bought some land and you've got a payment of $300 a month, and that's going to the equity, not the principal, or to the interest. It's going to the principal. So write down what percentage of your monthly income is building assets. So if you make $5,000 a month, and all $5,000 a month is going to rent, car payments, food, entertainment, blah, 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 zero assets. If 0% of your income is building assets, you're going to basically work on the treadmill for the rest of your life. There's no winning. There's no getting out of there. There's no financial independence if that number is 0, okay? And so on the other hand, if that number is 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, and you're building so that a large percentage of your income is going back into an asset building resource, then you can start to see financial independence coming your way. The idea that you are getting ahead of that, okay? So, and then name the specific items. So Jen, take it out. My house payment's $2,000 a month. The principal is $1,000, interest is $1,000. Okay, great. $1,000 of that is going to the principal, building equity for me, and that is an asset for me. Great. I've got $500 a month going into my 401k plan. Great. Oh, and they match at $250. Then that's $750. Those are all going to be things that are building assets for you that have a future value. The next question is now evaluating your expenses. So now what I want you to do is look at your monthly income, and I want you to do the same exercise, or a similar anyway. You're using what percentage of your monthly income to pay depreciating items. Now, these are living expenses and or items of no tangible value. So this could be car payments, rent, utility, credit cards, unnecessary stuff. Now, I understand you got to have a car. I have a car, right? I get all of that. And you do have to have it. Maybe it's part of you making money. We know all of that. But a car typically isn't going to make you money. Very few people bought a car and 5 years later sold it for more than they bought it for. Almost never happens, right? So again, that's not building an asset for you. It might be part of your expense to get to an asset, but we want you in your mind to recognize that those are separate things. And so again, some people will have $1,000 car payment, okay, for a car that's going to be worthless in 5 years, and then they've got $1,000 going into their equity of their home in their principal payment. Okay. So literally our car is costing us as much as we're putting into the equity of our home. So again, no right or wrong, but you might say, maybe I don't want to spend that much on a car payment. Maybe I would want to put more equity in my home. Maybe I do want to buy more investment properties. Maybe I'd rather have a $500 car payment and use that other $500 as to buy a rental property and to start leveraging my financial freedom and financial independence going forward. These are the ideas that you might think about in those scenarios. And then name the specific items. What are all the expenses? This is basically your monthly budget, everything that you're spending money for. Now, I'm not someone that thinks you need to do without everything. I'm not suggesting you need to cut off your cable and Netflix and Spotify and every other thing that you do in your life. You're going to have some of those things. You're going to want some of those things. Part of that's quality of life. And so those are fine. But just be aware of where you're spending your money and what percentage is going where. And the third category is what we call making memories. And that is, it's totally fine. It's up to you how much money you want to spend on things that are building memories. So there are some people that are extreme asset builders. They're like, they've got lots and lots of money and property and assets, but they've never gone anywhere. They've never done anything. They've never taken trips. They've never gone to concerts. They don't eat at fancy restaurants. If that's their choice, completely fine. There's no judgment about that. On the other end of that extreme, we've got a lot of people that say, I am an experience lover. Rather than have all this money in the bank and tied up in assets, I'd rather have trips every year. I'd rather spend time with my family. I'd rather do things. You choose what's right for you, right? But those are making memories. And so we want to separate these into percentage that builds assets, percentage going to depreciating items or debt or expenses, and then how much are you spending for fun? And you choose to do it. So again, no right or wrong, but choose accordingly, okay? And then don't look up 10 years later and go, oh my gosh, woe is me. I have no retirement. I have no savings. Why doesn't the world take care of me if you spend it all on other things, right? So the reality is we all get to choose and we all get to plan for what it is that we have ahead of us. So I'm using what percentage of my monthly income to create intangible value. for myself and my family in the areas that are important to us. This might be trips or travel or concerts or donations or pets, skiing. This might be any number of things that's important to you. So write down what those making memory items are. Okay, the next one now is giving back. Again, we think it's important. Not only do we earn, but we also give back. If you are, I'm involved in the following charities and contributions. Write those down. Number two, what do you love most about being part of these organizations and groups? A little bit of that self-awareness we've seen before. And then the big picture is, I want you to think about financial independence. Okay. You've got retirement covered. You've got abundance, money in the bank. You're debt-free. You've got freedom to choose. You live below your means. You've got recurring revenue coming in. I want you to describe a typical day in your life when you get financially independent. Okay. I will be, I will do, and I will have. So just think about that. And again, most people say, oh, I'm going to be drinking Mai Tais on the beach. Really, that's not really what most people are going to be doing or doing, right? So think about financial independence. You might say things like, I'm going to donate a day a week at the food bank. I'm going to actually go to the gym 3 mornings a month. I'm going to, we're going to take a trip every quarter and we're going to bring all of our kids and grandkids with us. You might say something like, I'm going to actually donate. I'm going to take $100 bill and once a month, I'm going to walk down the street, find somebody that needs it and give it away. Whatever it means to you, right? What does financial independence mean for you? That is the opportunity here for you to write that down and really develop that into a picture. Okay, so there's some guidance about what we consider lifestyle and financial goals. There's a lot of information there. This is probably going to take you a substantial amount of time. Please don't rush it. Please go through these questions one by one, cycle through them, spend some time thinking about it. Maybe, do this together with your spouse or partner. If you own a business, talk to your business partners about this. If you're doing this in a small group, talk about it collectively. Also being aware of the confidentiality people might have around money and numbers. And then again, seek professional advice when you need to for people that can help you get to the next level. Okay. All right. So take the time, do these exercises. In the next video, we'll do a quick overview, and then we're going to go through the last one, which is interpersonal relationships and self-esteem. Okay. We'll see you soon.